Welcome. This is Ty, aka the Flip Man, and welcome to tonight's Flippinar. Appreciate everyone that's come out already. We will have others to come on. If you've never been on one of these before, and if you have been on there, the process, I'll go through some things about wholesaling, investing in real estate, a little bit about me. I'll do some house cleaning on some of the free stuff that I offer. We will be giving away 2 free courses at the end. Don't let me forget. I will. And then we'll have an answer and question period before that normally lasts, 30 minutes or so. And I answer pretty much all questions concerning wholesaling real estate, houses mainly. So again, I appreciate everyone that's come out. So if you've never been here before, I'm going to go through an introduction of me at some point during this first part of the Flippinar. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if you can acknowledge that you see the screen here, it would help me out greatly. So you see the topic here. Some of you all received, thanks. Receive the text message, a YouTube notification on the topic tonight. 5 steps, wholesaling a house in 30 days or less, make $5,000 to $10,000. Welcome to this Flippinar again. My name is Ty Taylor, aka the Flip Man. This is the topic for tonight. Before we get into that, do a little house cleaning and advised by the attorney. You're not going to make $10,000 if you don't do anything. Most people understand that, but we still have to make that disclaimer. This was a picture here I want to share with you. Who you think is cuter, me or the Grinch? But I took that in the mall a couple of days ago, out with my folks doing a little spending, Christmas, a lot of giving, no getting. That's the way I feel. So I may be the Grinch. A lot of giving, no getting. All right. If you missed last week's Flippinar, Think Like a Realtor, Get Paid More, Wholesaling Real Estate is the title on YouTube. So you can get that replay. Just do a search for this exact title, and you should see that particular video pop up. I think it went pretty well. It's gotten a lot of views, as far as the way my things are scaled. So I think I did an okay job with it. So remember, we'll give away 2 free courses at the end of the Flippinar after the question and answering period, but I may need a reminder. So don't let me forget. Please, please, please. Also, I have the 200 plus free videos on my YouTube channel. If you go to my YouTube channel, if you're not already subscribed, you need to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is flipman.net. Once you subscribe, you need to also turn on the notifications. If you don't know how to do that, I think I'm gonna just put up a video that I found that was about 20 seconds long, and it shows you how to do it. But it's really simple. It has like a bell there. You click on it, and it'll tell you, do you want to receive notifications from this channel, blah, blah, blah. So boom, I'd encourage you to turn on the subscription, on the notifications on the subscription part of the channel. We still have this Rite Aid. Thought we had a buyer for it. You can collect this $16,500 on this commercial property. Probably going to have some more properties. $16,500 on this one. $8,500 on this particular property. It's a Family Dollar. $11,500 on this Wendy's. I think we may have a buyer for, but we're going to treat it as we don't, because we don't have an actual contract, so we don't have a buyer for it. So promote it. You can collect the $11,500 till we get a signed agreement from the actual buyer. We don't have a contract on it, so you can get that information at triplenetcash.com. That's triplenetcash.com, or some say nnncash.com. All right. If you're interested in getting into commercial wholesaling or commercial real estate, flip them just like houses, no cash or credit needed. You can go to flipthisbuilding.com. I have some videos that explain the process of taking a vacant building and turning it into a check. Most of past buildings on a monthly, sometimes even years, that are vacant, but it's sitting right in an ideal place where a lot of national retailers exist. You'll see Starbucks, Walgreens, McDonald's, Advanced Auto Parts, Chipotle, places like that. And this building just sitting there vacant, and it has been sitting there vacant. So flipthisbuilding.com, 2017, get into the other side of the game, big boy side of the game. Again, don't let me forget about the 2 free courses. Also, if you need private money, you can go to privatemoneylist.net, submit your phone number, and the next video, Keith Yackett will explain the actual service and what it offers. I use the proof of funds that he offers also. That's how we're putting these commercial deals under contract, using those very proof of funds, high 6-figure, low 7-figure properties that are for sale. That's the way they're going to take you serious. Is, hey, I can pay for it. So that gives you the opportunity to change the game, whether you're doing residential or not. But mainly the private money is just if you're trying to get into the other side of it, or you're trying to provide funding for one of your buyers. All right, my goal here tonight, whether you know a lot about real estate or you don't have a clue, as I didn't 14 years ago, is to bring you up to par on this thing called wholesaling. And wholesaling basically will allow you, this is my, street or layman's definition, it will allow you to do real estate transactions without using your own cash or credit, starting with finding a very good deal, a great deal, not just a property for sale. There's plenty of that out there, but a no-brainer of a deal by negotiating with the seller, going under contract, a purchase or sales agreement with an actual seller, putting it under contract at a cheap price compared to what the house would be worth, fixed up, marketing, advertising that property, and a cash buyer steps forward and is willing to pay you several $1,000s higher than the contract that you have with the seller. Example, you have a house that's worth $100,000 fixed up. We call that ARV, after repair value, but basically it means what will the house appraise for in excellent condition. $100,000 is the number, but you can, for whatever reason, get it under contract for $30,000. It may need too many repairs. It may be an inherited property, maybe a divorce situation, may be tired of being a landlord. It could be any number of reasons why someone could be that motivated to sell at that discount, but normally it's going to need repairs on top of that. So in taking in consideration, without going through the numbers, I have other videos on that, but you have it under contract with the seller for for $30,000, and you advertise the property, we'll say at $49,000. You have several investors call you. Only one person can buy it. One person steps to the plate and say, hey, I can't do 49. Would you take 43 for it? I'm taking that all day. So I have contract A with the seller for $30,000, contract B with the buyer for $43,000. So when we go to close on it, submit both contracts with a closing detail document, and you get the difference. The seller gets their $30,000. You get the difference between $43,000 and $30,000, and which is $13,000, and the buyer takes possession of the property. That is a wholesale transaction. So you ask yourself, is this something that you should be doing? Well, just to give you an example of a couple of students, as a matter of fact, this same student called me 2 days ago. He left another closing, $25K on that deal. $25K. Wow. Wow. That's the business. We've been discussing it for about a month now, and he finally called me and told me he closed that particular deal in Memphis. So, but just to give you an example, just a return on investment on his first deal, he spent $10 on Earnest. He placed an ad on Craigslist. Someone responded, put it under contract, gave him a $10 earnest money. At the end of the day, after getting a buyer in place and closed it, his take was $6,444.40. The return on investment, 64,344%. basically an infinite amount of return on investment because of what you have in it. Another example, which I have video testimonials on both of these particular students. Student in Baltimore, Maryland, he actually gave the seller a $1 earnest money deposit. As a matter of fact, the seller, when he mentioned the $1 to tie up the contract, the seller started pulling out $1 or trying to find $1. And he's like, no, I'm going to give you $1. So anyway, he split this deal with a JV, a partner he had on it. The total was $32,000. So the actual return on that was $3,199,900%. He split that, so he took home $16,000 of that. Now, obviously, you can make money buying the house, fixing it, and then retailing it, with a family that wants to live there. Just as an example over here, total investment of $50,000. That's buy, fix, and the resale is $50,000. He sell it for $80,000, so that's a $30,000 spread. The return on investment is 60%. Obviously, you make more, but over here, more riskier. Here, virtually no risk, just your time in reality. Don't forget, you can follow me on Instagram, flipman.net. You see the username here, flipman.net. I'll mention that again, of course. All right, just to tell you a little bit about me. I'm an entrepreneur first. Real estate is just one of the few ways I've been able to make money. I have more failures than successes as far as my attempts at different businesses and different ideas. Some of them never got off the ground. They were just ideas. But I guess I was a late bloomer because I didn't get interested in becoming an entrepreneur until I was in my early 20s when I was in college. So I wasn't one of these kids that was selling lemonade at 9 years old or trash bags door to door like Mark Cuban, nothing like that. It happened for me late. So one of the first things I actually spent money on besides multi-level marketing, we've all probably been through that, but actually trying to start a business was I had the brilliant idea. I was going to take my student loan money, some of it, and buy used cars. I obtained a dealer's license in my state, and I started going to actual dealers' auctions. And those cars look brand new, even if they're 10 years old. A lot of them will look right off the showroom. They actually have a strip out there where you can test drive them. But if you're not mechanically inclined or have someone on your team that is highly mechanically inclined, you will get whooped out there. You would get your hat handed to you quickly. And that's exactly what happened with me. So lost money, got out of that. 1995, went to Daytona Black Beach weekend. One of my older brother's friends was there. He was making six figures, having a mobile car wash in Orlando. And so I couldn't wait till we got back to Birmingham. I bought a used passenger van with the seats out. It was baby blue. Out of for about $900, bought a 100-gallon water tank, and bought a pressure washer. I was in business as a mobile car wash. So I would show up at hair salons, barbershops, places of business of people that I knew, and we just put a sign out there and start washing cars, and people would just show up. It was a business you could make money on. It's hard work, which I didn't mind doing. It was very hot, going into the summer. I'm in the South. So, but I'm used to it. So, but we do have winters here. Probably not the winters you all have in, the Midwest or the Northeast. But once it got a little cold, I realized, hey, this is not something I'm going to be able to do. And I know I can't survive off of it just being seasonal. It needs to be something that if you're going to do it, you have to do it no matter what the weather is, as long as it's not raining. And so gave up on that. So from that point, went on into multi-level marketing. The last thing that I got into before I discovered real estate, or the real estate discovered me, was prepaid legal. I think it's called Legal Shield now. Didn't make any money with that. Not saying you can't. I just didn't. One of my friends and his now wife were going to school to become real estate agents. And the guy that normally taught the class was absent, and the guy that substituted, he didn't talk about being a real estate agent. He talked about investing in real estate and creative ways of investing in real estate without using your own cash or credit. So my friend mentioned some of the techniques and methods that the guy was using. So it did strike my interest. This was in October of 2002. I didn't do it, and I didn't act on it at that time. So fast forward to right around now, 14 years ago, I was at my mom's house. It was actually 2 days after Christmas. It was December 27th. And I was up early waiting on her to prepare breakfast. And I was watching TV, and back then Carlton Sheets used to be on a lot, on Saturday and Sunday mornings. And so I saw one of his infomercials about halfway through it, and I had already seen them before, as many of you had seen them before. Some of you younger people don't probably know who I'm talking about, but he was the guy as far as when it came to real estate investing, as far as infomercials. And so my friend had mentioned it to me a couple of months before. So I said, well, let me find one of them from beginning to end. So, of course, the infomercial doesn't tell you anything, but just people saying I made this much money, Carlton helped me make this much money. So it really didn't tell you anything. But I thought to myself, I said, hey, this guy can't be lying about all of this. So at that time, my mom didn't have internet at her house. So I waited till I got back to Birmingham. And I went on this entrepreneurial online message board called ablake.net and asked the question, does Carlton Sheets program really work? And only one person replied, and I'm like, yes, but Ron LeGrand's course is better. So I went to Ron's site, saw he had a package around $1,500. It was a lot of different packages, a lot of different real estate investing techniques rolled into one. I think it was called Quick Turn Real Estate or something. But anyway, it was $1,500. And at that time, I was working at Bell South, which is now AT&T. I was just in collections, where someone called in and say, hey, I need to make arrangements on my bill. I was one of the people you would speak to if you were in that region where Bell South dominated, telecommunications. You may have talked to me before back then. So anyway, so I didn't have the money. So they had a teaser, a condensed version of it for $69.99 with $80 with shipping. So I received that, and so it was in cassette form. So that's how long ago it was, and so it really wasn't enough information to get you started, but it was enough information to get you excited, and which it really did. So I had made up in my mind, if I had to save the money for it, I would, if I had to get a second job. And so a couple of days later, thought about eBay and did a search for Ron's course, and there were a couple of auctions on it. So I bid on one of them, lost the auction, and the guy that was running the auction emailed me. You could do that back then with eBay. I don't think you can do that now. But and asked me what I wanted, a burnt copy of the courses. And I was like, yeah. So we agreed upon $400, and he shipped it to him. I received them. And wow, I went from not knowing anything about real estate to just information overload. Wholesaling houses, retailing houses, which is flipping, buy, fix, and flip. Lease options, subject tos, for sale by owner. There were several different modules in there. It took me about 3 weeks to go through all of it. I felt I needed to go through all of it, but just off the top, wholesaling attracted me more than anything. And so once I went through all the information, I was on information overload and I didn't have a coach or anything, but if I didn't get anything out of it, I realized that wholesaling attracted me, and somewhat lease options. On top of that, I realized that it was something that I could possibly do, because I didn't have to reach out to people. If I just put the advertising out there, people would reach out to me. And so that started with bandit signs. He strongly recommended those. And so I overpaid for some bandit signs. I got 50 signs for like $250. I didn't know any better at that time. Now you can get, I was just looking at it today, you can get 250 signs for that amount of money. You can get 250 signs, 2-color, for a little more than that. So, but anyway, but I didn't know any better at that time. So I ordered the signs. I received them on a Friday. I put them out on a Sunday morning, and the first 2 calls that I received were deals. One of them was a lease option opportunity, which I ended up giving the money back to the tenant buyer, even though I had put it on a contract with a seller, found a tenant buyer for it. She gave me $5,000 cash sitting at Old Charlie's on Center Point Parkway that doesn't exist anymore. Mexican restaurant is there now at the date of this video. And I started long story short, I had to give the money back. I don't even want to get into it. You can look at some of my other Flippinars on why I had to give the money back, but the seller was an idiot. So I gave the lady her $5,000 back. The second opportunity was a actual wholesale deal where 2 sisters, they inherited a property from their mother, and their mom passed. As many people do, we're not going to sell mom's house. And they rented it out to some relatives. That didn't work out well. They called me. So we negotiated a deal for $20,000. And I didn't really know if that was a deal or not. I just sort of felt like it was cheap enough. So I advertised the property mainly in the newspaper back then. You could get away with that now, to be a waste of your money now. But in the newspaper, and this realtor called me and said he had a cash buyer that would pay $25,000 for it. But after I explained to him how, what the transaction included as far as me getting paid through an assignment fee, he said that he needed $2,500 to put the deal together. So that was going to be half of my possible $5,000 assignment fee. So I agreed to that amount, met these guys in a shopping center parking lot. They gave me $500 earnest money, signed the contract. A week later, we closed. $2,500. So some it's just a lot. For some, it's not. For me, it was a lot, and it's still a lot in reality because it took me a whole month to make that type of money on a job that I had. But it might as well have been $250,000 because of all the things I had failed at in years before. So fast forward. Over the next 12 months, did 10 deals or so. I could have probably quit that first year, but I was afraid to because I had quit before. They let me get the job back because I nearly starved to death when I quit before, and I felt obligated to the managers that spoke up to me. So, but it got to a point where the job was getting in the way of me making more money. So on May 1st, 2006, I dropped the mic. I came in one day off of a split shift. And a manager said something to me that I didn't like. Said to myself, hey, I don't have to do this anymore. And I called the clerk, told I wasn't feeling well, reported out for the next 2 weeks. Went up there on a Sunday, April 30th, 2006, and I gave them a resignation letter, put one on the clerk's desk and my supervisor's desk so they wouldn't call me. And it was dated for May 1st. So that was the next day. So boom, I was out of there. That's been over 10 years ago, and I haven't looked back since. I haven't regretted it one moment. But I'll go through all of that because I don't think I had it easy in a sense to get into the point with real estate. Now the deal did come fast for me, but I still understand the power of marketing. And that's the most important thing that I got out of the information that I initially listened to. As I mentioned, I failed at a lot of businesses. No smarter than you are. Only may be the difference is that I take action. So what I discovered, for as many of you are probably going through, there's a hard way of doing this, and most people don't know. It may seem like it's a lot of people know this information, but most don't. You can mention this to anyone that you know about wholesaling and creative ways of real estate, and they won't know what you're talking about. As much as this information is out there on the internet, people still have a hard time of grasping it. So, but here's an opportunity for you. It doesn't take tons of money to start, and that's what most people think. You feel like you need a real estate license. That's going to be totally up to you, but it's not needed. That would be more of a want. Been doing it 14 years, and I haven't even thought about getting a license. I think I look at it personally as a restriction. Someone say, well, you need access to MLS. All that information is already online through Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. The same listings are there, because that's the way realtors market their property. So people say, well, I had this realtor call me today and say, hey, they can send me some properties. They're not doing anything special for you. Those properties are already online. You could do your own search and research. You need to be doing that anyway. They're not pulling anything special or secretive for you, which, I guess you don't know. But like many of you probably don't like the job that you're working. I didn't have a problem with the job that I was working. I just wanted more than what it would provide. I went to college, finished. Can't honestly say it's really never made me any money, especially compared to what real estate has done. Going to seminars. I was talking to a guy the other day. He wants to sign up for my commercial course. I'm not sure what I can tell someone. He may be on this call. That's fine. I'm just speaking the truth or whatever. But he sent me something about another opportunity. Asked me what I thought about it. And he already knew the answer. Is that it's just going to be a continuous upsell. I know the information that I provide and being able to speak with me is going to be different than what anyone else offers out there, because I don't have any limitations on when we could talk. Now, obviously, I have a life. I have a little business I run, but I'm not hard to reach. So, I'm not the only game in town by no means. I'm saying the only one, because people go to those seminars and are able to do deals from them, I'm sure. But, depends on what your needs are. If you want someone to work directly with you, if you need that, then, yeah, I'm going to probably be the best option out there that I know of. If you just need the information, then, yeah, you can probably go to a couple of those. I think you have to probably get to maybe the third round before you get all the information, maybe $10 or $15 or $20,000 later. But, it is what it is. There's a lot of ways to make money, a lot of ways to skin a cat. Even if you have information overload, just take action. I know you don't want to make a mistake. I still make mistakes. I've been doing this 14 years, and I still make mistakes. But the great thing about wholesaling, the great thing about it, it generally does not cost you money. You may get a little embarrassment, but embarrassment is free. As long as you're not losing money, you dust yourself off, take the learning lesson, and go capitalize off that experience that you just had. Again, don't let me forget the 2 free courses at the end of the Flippinar after the question and answer period. Please, amen, that you won't let me forget. But so we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. Before I dive into this, is everyone still there? Okay, I got the amen. So yeah, we're still here. All right, 5 steps, wholesaler house in 30 days or less, make $5,000 to $10,000. Yes. All right, guys, I'm glad you're still there. I hope you hear me fine. Well, everybody, one of the common questions that I'll get when someone's trying to see if they want to sign up for my courses and coaching is that how long does it take your students to do deals? If you just think, and I try to put it to people where they can think about it. In order, see, everything would have to be even between you, me. We'd all have to be able to start out in the same car, the same engine, same everything, to have an even chance to win a race. Then it just boils down to your driving. But most people are not going to start out with the same drive, the same resources to put into it, the same time, the same understanding, the same market. So all those things will factor in whether someone is more successful than the other person, or how fast one person does a deal over another. Some of it's just luck. See, I just feel like it was just luck with me, really, in reality. But I've had students that do it faster than I have, and I had students that take a couple of years to do it. And so it just depends, man. The stuff works. It's just you have to just apply the basics, and the hardest deal is going to probably be your first deal for most people, because number one, you want to see that that is real. Okay, so once you do that, then you can pour more time, more energy, more thought, obviously a little bit more money. You'll have that money from the first deal to pour into marketing, because I'm a big believer in that. So, but I want to go ahead and, as I said, I'm just going to give you what it really takes to do a deal in 30 days. Now, some of you all may not have the resources to do this, but it's not a lot of money in reality. And when someone calls me or something, and I don't know everybody's situation, I understand some people may not be able to get out and get a second income or whatever. But I had some young people call me and say, hey, you know, I'm 19 or 20 or 21 and I don't have the money. What are you doing? What's preventing you from working at Little Caesars, working in the mall, or working this place? You know, 2 or 3 jobs. We're only talking about a few $100s here to get your marketing going. Then there's a lot of free things you can do also, but I don't recommend those a lot, because most people don't have the patience or persistency to do those. So to take, and it can be very frustrating, already a frustrating business, because business is frustrating in general. But the reason I stress marketing so heavily, because I'm one of those people that couldn't do it where if I had to just sit there and just bang out phone calls or bang out emails on a daily basis. I do a little of it, but I don't do enough of it, because it's tedious and it takes a lot of patience and persistency, but it's free and it can turn into a huge payday. So it's worth it. I know what to do. It's just what I choose to do that part of it. And I'd rather spend some money and get the phone ringing, and then I can control when and where it goes. So let's get into number 1 here. All right. So that obviously you have to have a certain amount of knowledge and understanding of the process. You got to do that. Just going back to me, myself, I had information over. I went from not knowing anything about it to just information overload. So I understand that. So you can take a couple approaches here, or a combination of it. You can go with free training and or research as a combination if you don't have the resources. Now, obviously, with my 200 plus videos on YouTube, I've made a lot of people a lot of money for free, just with that information that I've never talked to. I get text messages, sometimes calls all the time, just with a thank you. Hey, this is my first deal. I made X number of dollars on it. That's the free training. The flip side of that is that people go through that free training, but still want me to coach them. It's not going to work that way. I don't really say that a lot or whatever. I hope that people can understand that, but a lot of, I guess, people take advantage of it and they may not realize it. But the free videos will tell you everything you want. But if you get into me actually trying to walk you through a deal, I'll answer a couple of questions about my coaching or whatever, stuff. But, actually asking me about a deal or something, then we're getting outside of the boundaries of, what I offer free versus what I offer paid, because now you're getting into my time, which I think it does have some level of value. So going with the paid training, whether it's through me or whoever, obviously with the paid training, you just want to make sure, everybody's different. Again, some people need a coach, some don't. You just make sure if you don't need a coach, that the information is thorough, and that's going to be whatever you decide to pay for it, that you're not going to have to pay additional money for additional information. You won't need to make sure that you're getting all of the information that's needed to do a deal. Now, as far as with the coaching, you may hear a guy's name advertised on the radio or TV, but many of you all know that guy's not even at the seminar, and you're dealing with guys that probably have never done a deal before. They just great sales and pitch people. And so then you sign up for the coaching, and you're still not dealing with someone. You're dealing with a call center. Then you're limited, maybe emails, maybe a call or two. So as long as you know what you're paying for, if you have understanding, you're okay with that, then roll with it. Just know the flip man has a better option than that. You know what I'm saying? And as time goes on, as I get deeper in this commercial, I'm not sure if I'll ever stop training, because I can meet a lot of great people that can help me do things that I'm not don't want to do or even capable of doing. But supply and demand, the cost of things will just go up based on the time that I have to put in it and so on. But it's reaching the point where when I originally started, why I wanted to do it differently than what I've seen others do is that I can use it to do commercial deals and do them in places that I'm not, because I can have boots on the ground. That's it. That's the big boy world. So we'll go ahead. So you understand knowledge and understand the process. You have to know have some general understanding about the process to get started. You don't have to know everything. That's like a lot of people feel like they have to know everything. The most important thing you need to know initially for me is knowing what's the deal and what's not a deal and get that phone ringing. Everything else will fall in if you stumble into it. It'll fall in place. So, and that's what we're talking about here. Go hard on marketing or cold contacts. That's when the clock starts. And what I mean by that, when I say in 30 days or less, your clock really doesn't start after your knowledge. The clock starts when you get a certain point within your marketing. You can buy bandit signs or you can set up your direct mail to go, but until you actually get some of that in motion, that's when the clock actually starts as for the 30 days. Now, what I would say ideally, and this can happen, once you get about 100 signs on the street, you can do that in a day, or you can do it in 2 days. That may take you a month to do it, but that's really when the clock will start with signs. When you get 100 signs out there, probably within a week's time, it would be ideal. Within 2 or 3 days would really be ideal. But again, they still have to stay up. They have to stay up. So when my students order signs, I encourage them to call me, and most times before they start putting them out, because you don't want to go crazy with them, because the worst thing you want to happen is you put out 100 signs in a week and they're down in that same week. That's wasted money. So it's a little testing that goes along with it. Now, if you're in an area where there are a lot of bandit signs that dominate the area, a lot of times you can go ahead and go wild with it or whatever. So what I did is I included, and I looked this up from the last time that I checked with Curtis, and you don't have to deal directly with dirt cheap signs, but that's a measuring stick as far as cost. Like one-sided signs, one-sided, one color, 9x24 signs, then that's the size that I recommend. They cost about $200, whereas I think he said $190 shipping, but we'll just say $200 for 200 signs. As far as your direct mail, to do about 200 direct mail pieces, the way I do it, which is more expensive to send them out per piece, it's going to cost you about $500 with setup. And what I mean by that is buying the mailers. Those are the 9.5, 12.5 mailers that look like the same size that FedEx and UPS use, and that same cardboard is called paperboard mailers. I get them from envelopes.com. Ordering those labels and sometimes cartridges for your printer. Now, if you don't have a printer or a laptop or something like that, then that $500 is going to go up, obviously. But assuming that you already have a printer and a laptop or a PC, you just need to get more ink for your printer, and as I said, labels, and then obviously the mailers, and then the postage. So you should be able to do 200 of those. So $200, and you could get 100 bandit signs for like $120, one color. Now I do 2 color, but you don't have to do 2 color. Just I like to stand out from what everyone else is doing. So the second thing you have to do, you got to go hard on the marketing. I talk about that a lot because that simplifies this business. I'll have a student that I haven't talked to in months, and they'll be like, what can I do about it? My first question is always going to be, and if you're on this call, and my first question is going to be, what are you doing to get your phone ringing? Well, I hadn't done this, or I've only done this one time. You may order, and I've done this, and now it happened for me because of the mistake that I made as far as what I put on the signs, and that's why I always encourage students to text me over the proof of the signs before they okay the order, whoever they order them from, is because I know you want to say a lot. You want to be different than everybody else, blah, blah, blah. You want to be different, do two color. But as far as the message, you don't have that much room to work with. You have to realize people are viewing the information from a distance when they're in traffic, and they're actually not looking for your information. So the larger the text, the more visible it's going to be. The more text you don't have on there, the smaller the text has to be, because it has to make room for the phone number, I buy houses, and whatever else you wanted to say. So, but as I said, I do two color, I buy houses phone number, or we buy houses phone number. That's it. 9x24. I may have the I buy houses in red and the phone number in blue, or something of that combination. But they stand out more than the norm. And now I'm seeing everybody else around here doing it, but whatever. So let's get the numbers. So we know marketing is important. So, I'm sorry, I didn't. We had another part to marketing. Cold contacts. This is the free option of it. So cold contacts such as Zillow, and what I mean by that is reaching out to landlords or even for sale by owner, FSBOs. So you can do that through Zillow, Craigslist, all the normal sites or whatever. And what you're doing is you're just playing the numbers game. Even when you're putting out bandit signs or doing direct mail, you're just playing the numbers game. So if you're actually picking up the phone or you're sending emails, you're still just playing the actual numbers game. And what that simply means is that obviously you're going to be contacting enough people, you're going to run into a deal. And the way I tell people they should do it, the students, is that just set us a conservative, reasonable number and say, hey, I'm going to talk to 5 landlords per day, whether it's on a 5-day cycle or a 7-day cycle per week. And before you know it, you talk to over 100 people in a course of a month. Deals come from that. And when I say contact them, obviously they're trying to rent the property, but you're looking for tired landlords, people that are tired of the business, but they still are in it, but they really would like to liquidate some of their properties. And so you're looking for motivation there. And so when you call them, you ask them, is the property still available? Whether they say yes or no, you ask them, would they be interested in selling? If they say no, then you ask them, do they have anything else they would like to sell? If they say no, just thank them for that time and tell them to, if they can't keep your number, if anything changes, to give you a call back. You move on to the next person. So you may say, hey, as I said, you're going to call 5 people per day on that. So now you're doing the marketing, and on top of you're doing the cold content. This is if you want to do a deal in 30 days now. Now you're talking to a lot of people. You're talking to a lot of people if you're doing this amount of marketing along with the cold contacts. So that's the number 2 is going to be the most important part, in my opinion, because it's all about numbers. Numbers. You're just going to stumble into deals if you talk to enough sellers. You just fall into deals. Just fall in your lap. So assuming that you are talking to these people, it's all about negotiations at that point and negotiating great deals. Obviously, from your knowledge and training, you need to know what is a deal. There's plenty of things that can be for sale and may appear to be a deal, but if you don't know, you don't know. But some people think, the house is worth $75,000, you get it for $70,000. There's no money to be made. So these cash buyers are not in it for 5 or 10 grand. You need to add a zero. Then they in it for some money. They want 20, 30, 40% on the return on their money. So negotiating with the seller, and I just keep it simple for my students when working with them, and they get into a pattern, and some of their just natural instincts will take over, and they can figure out better ways of doing it than I can, obviously. But you just collect the information. You ask the question, paying all cash and closing quickly. What's the least amount you'll accept? Wait on the response. Ask them, is that the best they can do? Whatever they say, ask them again, is that the best you can do? And boom, if you're forced into making an offer, you want to make an offer that you're embarrassed about. You want to make an offer that you're just shame that you're embarrassed about. So negotiating with the seller, entertaining those calls is huge. All right. Now, what I like to do is, and I don't waste time on it, it's rare that I go out and view a property if the numbers don't work over the phone. If the numbers work over if the numbers don't work over the phone, I'm not going to normally go out and look at it. But if they do, and most people that call you understand, you could easily receive 100 calls if you're doing a month over a 30-day cycle. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and only 2 or 3 of those are deals, or 4 or 5 of those are deals, that's only 2, 3, 4, 5%. But that may mean $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 in your pocket. All right. So, but if it comes to a point where we're going to go out and look at the property, then I'm going to video with my smartphone, then upload to YouTube. And that makes it easy for you to market to cash buyers, because who doesn't have a smartphone? People call you and they say, hey, about the house, blah, blah, blah. You know, what can I see it? I said, well, let me do this first. You can drive by it, but let me just send you this video. And then if they're still interested out there, look at the video, there's a high probability that, number one, you're saving yourself time, but there's a high probability that there's a deal there to be had, because they know what you're asking for. So use your technology. If you're not sure how to do that, you know, YouTube is your friend. Google is your friend. Go there and just do a search. How do I video with a smartphone? Most people don't know that the right way to hold the phone. You know, you don't hold it vertical the way you talk on it. You hold it horizontal. And some phones are different. I know iPhone's just the way to do it, but you know, you test it before you go out. Don't get out there and try to figure it out. Once you get out there, you test it to see how it should work and appear on the screen, because the worst thing you want to see on a YouTube video is you got all that video space and it's just a narrow, because you held it vertical. So test it before you go out and actually video a property. And plus, as I said, with my students, it helps me to see what you're seeing. If you video the property, send me the link, boom. But again, the main thing is that it saves you time, makes you it helps you market your properties either to actual cash buyers, which allows you to build a cash buyers list. So, all right, number 4, once you do have a property under contract, you negotiated a great deal, it's time to market to cash buyers. Now, your market will tell you if you have a deal or not, if you're doing being effective in your marketing and advertising a property. If you're receiving calls on a property and people are going out to see it and you're getting offers lower than what they're telling you didn't get it cheap enough. You know what I'm saying? It's just that simple. You didn't get it cheap enough. If you're getting calls and people are going out to see it and they're making offers, you're close. It's going to probably be a lesson learned, but you didn't get it cheap enough. But if you did get it cheap enough, you know, they will beg you not to show it to someone else. So when people say, well, I don't have any buyers, that's why you don't need any buyers. Because if you advertise a great deal, the buyers will be begging you for that deal. And to tell fake buyers from real buyers are going, the conversation that you want to have with them is once you agree upon a price is, you know, how fast, once you ask them how fast can you close, and their response should be as soon as we can get a clear title. That's 10 days or less, pretty much anywhere in the country. That should be 10 days or less. Sometimes the title may take longer because of things out of your control, but that's the conversation. When they start talking about, well, I need 30 days, no, you can't do that. You just can't do it, because you only have 30 days in most cases. Even if you ask 60 days, if a buyer is saying they need 30 days cash, real buyers don't talk that way. They talk in the sense, as soon as we can get a clear title, let's do it. That's it. That's the only thing that you want to hear. That's it, period. All right, so moving on to number 5. After you have your seller, you have your buyer in place for the deal, both under contract, then it's time to close. Now, depending on what state you're in, the state I'm in, we can use title companies and our closing attorneys to close our deals. But people say, well, I don't have anyone to close my deal. Should I have that first before I even get started? No, because in most cases, your buyers are going to dictate that. And so you would just piggyback off that buyer's relationship with a closing attorney or title company, even if they've never done a deal before. If the buyer wants to do it, it's rare they're going to reject the opportunity. And I've had that to happen to me recently, but it's very few times it's happened to me. And then if they don't close, there's plenty of companies that will close it once you have a buyer and seller, because they want the fee. That's easy money for them. A cash transaction is a 15-minute closing. That's an easy $500 to $1,000 in closing fee as for the closing attorney. So you would just piggyback off the buyer's relationship, and then in the future, if you need a closing attorney or title company, you can go back to them even if that buyer is not involved, because now they know who you are and they know how you conduct business. All right, so that breaks it down. So let's just recap. Number one, knowledge and understanding of the process. Number two, you go hard on your marketing. That's with paid marketing or just cold contacts, contacting landlords and for sale by owners. Your clock starts at that in that part of the 5 steps during number two. After you start, because you are doing an effective job of marketing, then you start dealing directly with sellers, and that's where your negotiations come in and understanding what's a great deal and what's not a great deal, because that's what it's going to boil down to once you go to number 4 is marketing to your cash buyers. So once you have a buyer in place, you got a seller in place, obviously. You set up a closing, and that's where you make the 5 to 10 grand. Obviously, you can make more, maybe sometimes less, but that's a ballpark number for most markets. Some markets you can get a lot higher. Like my student in Memphis, like I say, $25,000 the other day. So we'll move on to some numbers here. So most people, you're here because you want to change the situation, and the answer to doing that is 3 to 5 deals per month. So how can you accomplish that? Through the marketing that I mentioned a moment ago, 3 to 5 deals per day. It's all about marketing. Your wholesaler is your title, but in reality, you're a marketer of yourself as someone that can buy houses. So let's break down some simple numbers here. You do 1 deal per month, averaging $5,000 to $7,000 per deal. That's 12 deals per year, $60,000 to $84,000 per year. 2 deals per month, $5,000 to $7,000 on average. 24 deals in a year, that's $120,000 to $168,000 a year. 5 deals per month, $5,000 to $7,000. That's 60 in a year. That's $300,000 to $420,000 per year. And yes, they know your name at the bank now. All right. Again, don't let me forget about the 2 free courses. If you need proof of funds, you can go to realpof.com. If you're going to deal with real estate agents, you're going to need proof of funds. As I said, this is what we're using for our commercial offers, and with no issues. You need private money, whether it's for yourself, go to privatemoneylist.net. Form of private money lenders, along with a cash buyers list is included. Just go there, submit your phone number. Next page, Keith Gackett will go into detail about what you're getting. Sign up. So now we'll go ahead and get into the question and answer period. Let me get back over here. Okay. All right. Let me see here. So I'm open for questions. Do you pay someone to put out signs? I have in the past. I haven't done it in a long time. Part of the reason I'm not as effective with signs as I need to be, because I have so much going on with, just other ways that I market also, but I still do signs. I do it for some of it exercise, some of it just to keep me humble. And the main thing is just that it's done the right way. I pay people to do it. If you're going to pay someone to do it, I suggest that you probably are going to have to drive them around. If you don't want to get out of the car, you're going to have to drive them around, at least follow them around and tell them where to place the signs. Because people will just put out your signs, take your money because they say they put them out. But there's a right way to do it. Signs are going to only be effective as how effective you put them out. Will you eventually do a video that walks you through the paperwork phase? I have like 3 or 4 videos on my YouTube channel that do that go through the contract. What size did you say your bandit signs were? 9 by 24, single sided. You could do one color, two. I do two color. How do you feel about postcards? Well, anything is better than nothing, but I teach my students when they do direct mail, don't do postcards. Everybody's doing those. And I teach them to actually do research on each property from their list. So you bought a smaller list between 3 to 450 names, 3 to 500 names of absentee owners, and actually do research on them, which I show them how to do research. You're equity mining. You're looking for equity. There's no reason to send out a postcard to someone that just bought the house a month ago, or 2 months, or even 5 months, or a year ago. In a lot of cases, they're not going to have any equity there, so there's no reason to send them out. So direct mail, yes, I do. Postcards, I don't. What was the site he just mentioned? He named private. It's privatemoneylist.net. Privatemoneylist.net. How do you go about estimating rehab costs? Well, I actually did a Flippinar on one of those. You can just go to my channel and do a search for Flippinar estimating repair costs. I actually did one on that also, not too maybe a month or so ago. When you get earnest money from your buyer, do you keep it or give it to the title company? If they want to put it in my hand, that's fine. But normally I don't even ask that way. I just tell them to take it up to the title company, whether it's their title company or closing attorney or whoever, or they want to use who I want to use. So, but sometimes they'll put it in my hand, so that's fine. Normally I won't cash it or whatever. You know what? It just depends on who I'm dealing with. Sometimes I'll go ahead and cash it, but I won't spend it or whatever, until the deal. Until let me just say this: once we get a clear title, that's my money. Doesn't matter what happens. Once we get a clear title, that's my money. Um, Someone said, "What size envelopes you use to send letters? Do you use particular font?" No, I use the 9.5. They're called paperboard mailers. They're 9.5 by 12.5. It's the same size as UPS, FedEx use, and that same heavyweight, sturdy material. Also, I use 4 by 6 labels. You want to use 2 labels on each package. I started out using 1 label and putting both addresses on 1 label. But I was getting back too many returns from the postal service, and they say their processing machines get confused when they're on the same label. So you need to use 2 different labels and put one in the top left for the return address, and then down in the bottom right for the sending address. Ty, besides bandit signs, how else do you market successfully? As I just mentioned, through direct mail also. I do some social media stuff. Obviously, I have a website. I use a vanity number, my 1-800 seller house. So there's several things. They all go in the same pot. All right. Someone says, can you please re-explain the process of signing your one-page contract? Like, what's the step-by-step process with the contract? Well, it's not really. Well, I really don't do it that way. I'm gonna get paid via an assignment, but you do 2 contracts, 2 purchase and sales agreements, and the assignment part of it is handled at the closing table. The reason you want to do that, you don't want to. Okay, you get a property in the contract with a sell, like $30,000 example I use. You don't want to call when buyers call you, say, "Hey, my assignment fee is $7,000." You don't want to do that, because they're going to negotiate your fee. They're negotiating it regardless, but they don't know what they're negotiating if you give them a price instead of a fee. So you got it in the contract for 30, but you advertise it at 40, 47. They don't know. You may have it on the contract for $1. So once you sell on a price, obviously you know what you need to be, how much more higher, or what you're going to be satisfied with over your contract price. So you'll advertise it and that's what you will accept. So you'll do a contract, in the example I gave, a contract with the seller for $30,000, contract with the buyer for $42,000, and you're going to get the difference. So once you get the closing, the closing attorney or title company is going to handle the assignment part of it. And sometimes they'll want you to sign something, but from my experience, it's rare I sign something. I just have to explain to them how everybody gets paid, and they take care of it. Because it's cash, they don't really have to jump through those hoops like that. So it's really not an assignment contract. Now, some will make you do that. It just depends on who you're dealing with. If they make you do that, they're going to let you know what's needed, and you just follow suit. I hope that made sense. I hope I wasn't rambling a lot of different wrecks, but I'll miss something. But I have video. I have, straightforward videos on YouTube that go through that. I got the video. It's called, matter of fact, if you go to the channel, it's the premiere video. It's the first video that you see, wholesaling how to step by step. It's like 19 minutes long, and I go through the entire process. Somebody's promoting a webinar every Wednesday on Bigger Pockets, whatever. All right, that's what's up. Okay. Someone asked about the envelopes. I answered that. How often do you use the MLS? I don't use it at all. As I mentioned before, all that information is free through Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, all properties for the most part are listed on, they're in sync. They're, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess that'll work. They're in sync with, those sites. Realtors, they know they get a lot of exposure from those sites, Zillow, homes.com, realtor.com. So you can see the same thing. So you don't need access to MLS. Now, within MLS, they may have a few notes from realtor to realtor, but that's not that big of a deal. I've had access over the year, and I got access to. I got a really good friend of mine. I just call her; she'll give me her access to it. But I don't need it. You don't need it. It's too much free information out there of the same information. That's why, as I mentioned earlier in the Flippinar, when someone a realtor calls you, or a student or a non-student may say, a realtor say, hey, they can help me. They're going to send me a deal. They're not sending you anything special that you can't look up yourself. They're not, that's part of why it's important. And that'll vary from buyer to buyer, that when you find deals that are not advertised, that's why you're so valuable to a cash buyer, because you found something that they were not aware of, and you controlling it, but they want it. And that's what makes you valuable. It's control, especially control of the unknown, the off market. Someone asked, do I use a particular font? I forgot to answer that on the mailer, but just either Arial or Times Roman, Times New Roman, whatever it's called, New Times Roman. Someone said, how should I dress when meeting up with the seller and the investor? It just casual, nothing over the top, nothing, you don't have to, it doesn't matter. Just whatever you normally wear, trust me, will be fine. They don't care. Someone says, how much do you charge for training? Just simply go to flipman.net, and you can see what I charge there, flipman.net. I'm trying to read this long one here before I actually read it, before I just blurt it out. All right, I'm gonna read this. I hope I can understand what he's trying to convey here. I just met up with some local REI club members in my area for the first time. I was discouraged from the wholesaling process. The objections were, it's like having a second job. What if the buyer backs out and you don't have the money to cover the transaction? The seller could get upset about you getting paid. Ask if it was this area, Fairfield, California. He told me no. I'm not sure what that means. He told me to put myself out there as a foot soldier, I guess, to get started, which I don't mind. What are your thoughts on this? Whoever you were talking to, man, I, it, it's so hard for me to answer questions like that because I get frustrated. I hate when people tell me you can't do something and they've never tried to do it or even know anyone either successfully or unsuccessful. But because they think they're in the industry themselves and they don't know about it, that means you can't do it or it's illegal. Just say, I don't know. Don't say this or that. Just say, I don't know. So I'm not sure your name here, but that long message I just read, disregard that, man. Don't even have that conversation with those people anymore. Man, I'm not the only one putting this information. Guys, all of us ain't lying. Just like I said about Carlton Sheets, they can't be lying about all of this. You know what I'm saying? This is not brain surgery, man. Yeah, he said, oh, let me read back some of them questions they said. It's like having a second job. I don't know what does he mean? What job pays you this type of money? Not many pay you this type of money or whatever. It's running a business. What if the buyer backs out? That's what earnest money is for. And it will happen if you don't position yourself. You find another buyer. And to say if the seller gets mad, oh, that's going to happen. You know, it's going to happen. You're going to have deals, properties you put under contract that you cannot close. It is going to happen. If anyone tells you anything differently, they are lying to you. That's real. But you just deal with it. That's part of why you put up earnest money. If you can't close on, they keep your money. You move on, they move on. That's it. Hopefully I answered that. I was having trouble understanding, but hopefully I answered what you were asking. Someone said, do you have to do a state as contract? I'm not sure what that means. Someone said, are you going to do a commercial real estate? Well, he said webinar. I'm saying Flippinar. I'm not going to put that much information out there about that. I think I have a hold on a little niche here that a lot of the other people, I guess gurus or whoever, I don't consider myself a guru, but the gurus that are out there, I think I have a little niche on that. So I'm not going to put that much. I think I've put enough out there that if someone wanted to run with and do some additional due diligence on it, boom. But if they wanted the actual course and coaching, they can streamline. And I'm just focusing on just a small niche. You know, I have the wholesaling houses and apartments, which that's a part of commercial. But with the single tenant, triple net leases, that's just a small niche of it, but there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money in it. So to answer your question, I don't know if I ever will do something in great detail on. I may do bits and pieces of it. I'm not sure about it. I can't answer your question at this point. I think his name's Jesse. A one-page contract gets strange looks from people, especially realtors. They prefer I use a 15-page state contract. What do you suggest? When you're dealing with realtors, you hadn't watched a lot of my videos. When you're dealing with realtors, you're gonna have to play by their rules. They're not going to accept a one-page contract. They're just not. That's for a private seller, someone that doesn't care about all that other bull in a 15-page contract. You're buying it as is. That eliminates virtually every clause in the 15-page contract. You know, so you're not going to be able to use that with realtors. They're going to want to use their state board contract, period. That's it. But with private sellers, if they're motivated, that one-page contract, it will be beautiful to them if they're motivated. Motivated sellers don't dictate terms. They may, you know what I'm saying? You just come to a price, all other stuff they don't care about. They just don't. It just doesn't work that way. You're talking to the wrong sellers, especially if you're dealing with realtors. You're gonna deal with realtors, you gotta play by their rules. But I know how to play their rules and how to push their buttons into my favor. The first thing you got to remember dealing with real estate agents is that they're greedy. They have their own self-interest in it. The farther you away from the decision maker, which is the owner, the more someone else's interest is going to be in it. That's why when someone contacts me especially with a commercial property, my first question is, are you dealing directly with a seller? Well, no, my partner, but no. The only person need to be between the seller and me on a commercial property is the broker, and that's normal. Other than that, that's it. I'm not. It can't. That's it. I'm not going. I've tried that before for years. That's why it's probably taken me so long to get to this point, because I tried that for years. I need to be talking to the seller's broker. That's the only person in between, or the actual seller, obviously. But it's rare you're gonna do that with commercial. Um. All right. Someone said, when you first started wholesaling, did you have a script to go by when you talk to potential sellers? I don't even remember. That's a good question. That is a good question. I had to have something to go by because I didn't know anything. I'm gonna say yes. Because I didn't know anything. Even though I would have had to have had a uh something to go by. Somebody said an as is contract. I don't know if that was a continuation. Do you have to do a state as is contract? Uh, I guess, let me see. Is that the same? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, the one page contract I use, I just write it out on it. It's typed out. Property sold as is. Where do you find the addresses to mail to? Well, you're targeting absentee owners, which I have a Flippinar replay on YouTube, also on that, on Melissa Data and list source on direct mail. But you order your list from those organizations. I mean, from those websites. And again, I have a Flippinar on there where I go into actual show you exactly what to do. Guys, you're not going to find anybody out there that does that gives away the information that I give away, but it's already out there. I have several videos on that on my YouTube channel. Go there and subscribe. Go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Someone says, how you find ACE. I'm not sure what that means. Are business cards good to use? Man, I hadn't had business cards in years. Wow. Everybody has a smartphone, cell phone. You just so easy to exchange numbers, text someone, call, whatever. I haven't used them in years. Yeah, I'm not saying not to do it, but I haven't had them in years. Somebody says AVR, or you mean ARV? I'm not sure. That Larry, or Lenny. Not sure what that name says. But anyway, what do you suggest incorporating? Would you suggest incorporating? At some point, you need to do an LLC or something, but it doesn't prevent you from starting if you don't have the marketing budget to do your marketing and setting up an LLC. Then just wait on that till you do a deal or two. It's okay to do them in your name. For direct mail marketing, should I have a PO box for the return address? I'm going to say no. You can go to UPS store and some other services out there like that, even though it's still a little mailbox, but they actually have a physical address. It'll be like Suite 104-123, something like that. How do you find ARV? How do you find ARV? Well, I have a video now, but a quick explanation. The way I explain my students to do this is just a calculate. It's called calculating ARV in 60 seconds. Just do a search on YouTube for that address. All your sites will pop up like Zillow, Trulia, HomeSnap, Homes, Realtor, ePraisal. All those sites will come up on that first page normal. Some addresses won't produce, but most will. And what you're looking for is consistency at the highest number. So you might see 70,000 on one site, 55 on another one, 54 on another one, 57 on another one, and then 23. So those 55, 57, and 53, whatever the numbers were in the 50s, that's where you're going to pull your ARV from. That's what you're looking for, that consistency. And you don't need an exact number. You just need something to go by to know that you're not wasting your time. All right, hold on. I'm trying to read here. Hold on one second. All right, someone says, are you saying that you do I guess they mean purchase and sales agreement instead of an assignment contract? When you do this, will they confuse it for a double close? Well, no, you have to, you send over both contracts with this, and then what I call a closing instruction sheet along with it. But I don't do double closings. But even if I did, it would still be the same process. I still would give them instructions on who gets paid, who's the seller, who's the buyer, the address of the property, the selling price, my assignment fee, who's paying the closing costs. Someone says, yes, use business cards. So, hey, they're telling you what to do. Do it. Can you use the contract for both buyer and seller? My one-page contract, normally I do. Obviously, it's not on the same contract. It's the same verbiage, but they're filled out differently. I'm assuming that's what you're asking. Do you have cash buyers list, and is it geared to a specific region? The privatemoneylist.net, it provides a cash buyers list, and it's based on most of the larger cities. It has phone numbers, but more you're dependent on the actual mailing addresses more so than the phone numbers, because those have changed from my experience with it. But the private money list it was about 400 lenders on there. It's really good. I've done direct mail, but a lot of times my letters come back. It just depends on what source are you getting them from. That's a huge part of it. Do you get a lot of leads from your website? Not as much as I used to. Social media that's taking that over, and advertising on Google AdWords is so expensive now that it's just other ways I can use my money more efficiently. What happens if you sign a contract to buy and assign, but can't find a buyer? You go back and ask for more time from the seller, and they give it to you. Go back and ask for more time, and they don't. If they don't, they keep your earnest money. Move on. You move on. They move on. Have you ever done a substitute deal, and what's your opinion? I think I've only done maybe 3 or 4 of them over my time, 14 years. You can't. I'm not a good person to ask on that because I'm. It's just not my thing. I don't even know what to tell you on that. It's just not my thing because I just like to be in and out of deals. I don't like the part of it. It's on the residential side of it. Commercial will hold some things, but on the residential side of it, just not my thing. I'm too soft. And I know you can put management people in place or whatever, but just not my thing. But in reality, that's the true way of building long-term wealth is cash flow. That you don't have to keep regenerating or whatever. So really not my thing. Somebody said I did Carter sheets and prepaid legal also. Somebody put my link there, so I don't know what that was for. All right. Let me see here. Somebody said I did a Legal Shield FKA prepay. Legal, did you like being an associate for that MLM? Nah, that's not me. I'm not a salesperson or whatever. You really have to be able to convince people to believe what you believe. I know it may seem like I'm like that, but I'm really not. I'm horrible at that kind of stuff. Um, just horrible. Let me see here. Is it a good idea? Is it a good idea to have a real estate license and being a real estate investor? Again, I'm not the best person to ask on that. I don't have a real estate license. I really don't see a need for one. That's going to be on your own personal use. How do you deal with sellers that has a tenant with time on the lease still? The deal has to be a lot more attractive, and it depends on what type of tenant it is, what type of property, if it's in a more desirable area versus not as desirable. There's going to be a lot of factors go into that, but I've done them, over the years. They're a little harder to do a lot of times because that turns off a lot of investors because a lot of those property owners don't keep good records on those types of tenants. So it's going to just, normally those deals have to be really attractive because if they're cheap enough, a buyer would take it on and just put them out if they're not happy with the tenant or whatever. They don't want a tenant. They just go through the legal process and just chalk it up as cost. Someone says when creating I guess a website, how many characters do you suggest? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Brandon. All right, someone said, don't forget the training giveaway. I'm not. Ty, are you private money lenders, hard money lenders? No, not me personally, no. But I use the service, especially the proof of funds. Someone said, how do you proceed? I found a buyer for one of your commercial to family dollar deals. What if I want details such as exact location? It's no problem. I think it's Sharice. Yeah, just text me. You should have my number, and I can send you. I can give you the exact address. No big deal. I don't put the exact address out there, even though I'll tell people don't advertise the address, blah blah blah, and it happens anyway. So I just hold on to it until we got a buyer that's interested in wanting to know that information. The information that's on triplenetcash.com, it's enough information. If they're interested, they'll want more information, so, and then we'll just work from there. So it's just on the case by case basis. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask a couple more questions, then I'm going to wrap it up, guys, and then give away the free courses. How long is too long for a domain name for a website? Man, that's one of my hobbies. I pay attention to domain names. They're talking about website names like flipman.net. That's a domain name. Um, man, boy, uh, just think about it in this term when you're thinking about a domain name. Just think about it like this. All right, now obviously .com is more dominated to just the average person. They know that when they don't know anything else. .net is probably second just because they've both been around the longest. .net is nearly not as good. It's not as recognizable as a .com. If you had to give them a percentage, .com is probably 80-20 to a .net or whatever. But, like I use flipman.net because flipman.com is taken. They want $8,500 for it. I'm not going to pay that. it's okay. I'm doing okay with flipman.net. So to answer your question, think about it like this with domain names. Can it pass the radio and billboard test? Meaning, if I hear it one time, can I remember it? Or if I see it on a billboard one time, can I remember it? But on top of that, does it tell me what the service or product you're offering and in that description? Now, like with flipman.net, that really doesn't tell you what I'm offering, right? The commercial would have to be important, and the additional verbiage would have to be important. But howtofliphouses.net, now that tells you exactly what it is. Obviously, I would have preferred the .com, but the .net will do okay. So think about it in that terms. I think someone has bluebuysHouses.com. Not bad, not bad at all. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who Blue is. I guess that may be your last name. But that's not bad, not at all. It's not that many characters, and normally you want to try to keep it under. The shorter, the better. The shorter the name that you can get that makes sense, and it's a .com, but it's just like real estate. A lot of the great stuff is already taken, but new words come up every day in our vocabulary as far as English, or that are created every day. I don't know, like I created Flippinar. That's just a word I created. You know what it is. Especially if our brand's more of a brandable, because it really doesn't tell you what it is. But, if you're interested in real estate, you see it. Webinars and seminars, you get it automatically. But I just made that up, and it was available. I just thought about it one day a couple of months ago, and boom. And I've been rolling with it. So I will continue to use it. Someone has here super... Wow, I don't even know what that is. Oh yeah, that's too long, man. JD, that's too long. I can't even tell you what it says. That's too long. That's way too long, JD. But so I guess that's it, guys. So I guess we'll get into to why you're here. Let me do a phone number first. Let me do that first. Y'all clowning. Let me see here. I have to make myself notes here. Give me 1 second, guys. I have to record to make myself a note first. Well, y'all tripping. People hit me up on Instagram and everything. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, I try to tell you guys to invite friends and family members and increase your chances. I know everybody's not interested in stuff, but so the ones that are interested, invite them on the Flippinar. Just going to increase your chances. Just like the lottery. That's the only way you can get extra lottery tickets is inviting friends and family members to the webinars. So hey, that's the secret. You can get 5 people, other people like you. Boom. That's 5. That's you got 6 more chances than the other person has. So makes sense. So let's get with it here. So first person, we're going to go with a phone number, and it spits out. I think this is a South Florida number. The last 4 digits are, hold on. Is 7, it's the last 7 digits, 726, 8525. And okay. So what you need to do is just send, I'll probably text you, but you could text me, well, just email me, ty@flipman.net, Ty. And by the way, my name is not Todd, Todd, it's Ty, short for Tyrone, ty@flipman.net. So just email me there, ty@flipman.net. And the winner from the chat room is, hold on, I'm waiting on my deal here. All right, the winner is, I'm gonna spell this. I don't know how to pronounce it. Starts with a J. Is Jaanda, Juanda. So email me. I'll put it here in the text area. Ty at email. I'm sorry. Ty at Flipman. Flipman.net. Boom. Okay, so there we go. So we got the 2 winners here. So just text me and I'll send you access to the courses. And again, guys, if you want to get multiple entries in on this deal, make sure you invite friends and family members. That's like multiple entries. And again, I'll be here back next week. It'll be the last show for the year. And I hope everyone is out there safe, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, whatever the deal. I'm going to say Merry Christmas. Yeah, if you want I'm not getting away any specials tonight or whatever. I'm not sure if I'll do something for the years. I'm not sure. But if you want the coaching and course, you can go to flipman.net. Obviously, as I said, go to YouTube, subscribe, go to Instagram, follow me, flipman.net, spelled out. So I'll see you guys next week, and I really appreciate everyone coming out. We'll see you on the flip side. And congratulations to those who won tonight. Thanks.